karma is undefeated. These workplace karma stories are some of the funniest I've ever heard. One involves knitting needles in a stairwell. One involves a gym, a vulture, and a PA system. And the last one involves a 30-year-old man having his mommy handle his business for him. These stories are totally worth your time. And get ready to laugh. Let's get into it. Story 1 is from Malicious Compliance, titled, "My coworker tried to get me fired for my reasonable accommodation." For context, I'm autistic. When I'm anxious or sitting for long periods doing nothing, I pick at my fingers until they bleed. It's a stimuli, a coping mechanism. My last job was a really quiet position, low foot traffic, lots of downtime. And my supervisor approved a reasonable accommodation for me to knit or crochet during that downtime. Put the work down when I need it? Obviously. That part goes without saying. My supervisor, Sarah, worked at our sister site across town. Her supervisor, Erica, worked on site with me. Both were totally fine with the arrangement. In fact, at one point, both of them came in specifically to observe me, and they found that not only did I stop what I was doing immediately when work came up, I could actually hold a full conversation while maintaining an accurate stitch count. The accommodation worked, the job was fine, but there was one coworker. I'll call her Carla. And Carla decided that ADA accommodations were privileges, not rights. She complained constantly to my supervisor and to anyone who would listen. It became background noise for a while, until things escalated. The day it came to a head, I was ironically sewing patches onto vests for a project at our sister site, and apparently Carla had spoken to the company lawyer and decided she was going to catch me in the act of being distracted. She and her assistant, Diane, came downstairs during their lunch break, which was unusual because they did not like me and usually avoided me. They came to my desk, and Diane reached over and pocketed a book that we had for sale on the upper part of my desk, right in front of me. I looked up from my work mid-thread pull and asked what they were doing. They giggled like they'd caught me, like this was the ammunition they needed. I went directly to Erica, who also wore the HR hat at our site. Erica and her supervisor Kelly confronted Carla and gave her a final warning. I also found out that at that point, Carla had been written up for standing in the stairwell listening for the click of my needles, or watching to see if I was moving enough. She'd been doing that for a while apparently. I hadn't known. The final warning was issued on a Friday. Monday was a holiday. Company policy required at least one upper-level staff member and one lower-level staff member on site if we were open on holidays. Carla and I were scheduled together. We worked in separate areas, so I had no reason to interact with her. I didn't even know she hadn't shown up until Erica came in on her day off just to grab something she'd forgotten, and I realized Carla wasn't in the building. Tuesday, I was on duty. I remember hearing Carla in the stairwell on the way to her car. She had been fired. She stood in the stairwell more than once listening for the sound of my needles. On her last day, she was the one making noise in it. Okay, I love when karma comes like that. That woman spends so much time trying to cost someone their job, she cost herself her own. Okay, this is a little bit of a public service announcement. As someone who's had to have reasonable accommodations, I'll tell you this. I would rather have more of a common life where I don't need anything extra special or slightly different just to be more like everybody else. I'd give it all back if it meant I can just do what everybody else does and blend in. Maybe that's just me. I can't speak for everybody with a disability. On to story 2. Story 2 is called The Vulture. He earned that nickname fair and square. The second anyone was out, he'd try to swoop in on their clients. The time he missed his window, he wrote me an angry note about it. I handed it directly to the boss. The PA system did the rest. There was a guy at my gym everyone called the Vulture. Not like the comic book villain, more because he had a habit of eavesdropping on everything. And the second he learned someone was going on vacation or calling in sick, He'd swoop in and claim their routine while they were gone. Fitness training is competitive. There's always someone trying to grab a client base that isn't theirs. My boss's daughter worked there as a trainer, and she had just gotten married. Beautiful. And before her honeymoon, she had asked a coworker to cover her morning cycling classes. That coworker did such a great job that my boss asked her to cover the full duration until her daughter came back. Coworker said yes. Vulture saw this happen and lost his mind. He left a note on my door before I arrived that morning. I found it when I got in, read it, and I'm quoting, "I know you made sure coworker stepped in and took over for boss's daughter. You just didn't want me anywhere near your precious routine of morning cycling classes." Now some context. My coworker who teaches the second morning cycling class, the boss's daughter who teaches the third, and I have a system. We built it over time. We trust each other. We've taught specific techniques to select others. People we vetted. The Vulture was not one of those people. Not because of some conspiracy, because he doesn't have the trust. That's it. Also worth noting, every single one of the boss's daughter's private clients, everyone told the Vulture to back off that week. They were loyal to her. He had no charm that could overcome that. I gave my boss the note. Shortly after I came and sat down for my lunch break, I heard over the PA system, "Well, Vulture, please come to my office now." I can only imagine. Update. The next morning, my boss told me that her cousin, who's married to the Vulture, apparently things hadn't been great at home for a while. The cousin told him enough was enough with his behavior. They said they wanted a divorce, and Friday, that was his last day at this job. So he lost both in 1 week. Again, those were his choices. Nobody else had been told yet when I sat down to write the original post. I can only imagine the joy when people found out. They say bad things come in threes, so this guy lost his job and his wife in the same week. I wonder what the third thing was. Do you think they repossessed his car? The last story for today came from Entitled People. He was in his 30s. He got calls every 30 minutes. Where are you sitting? What are you eating? Who are you talking to? The end of the month came. Everyone stayed late, and his mom called, asking to speak to me personally. I handed the phone back. What he said next, he'd been needing to say for about 20 years. Note, English is not my first language, so I want to be upfront about that. A new guy joined my team at the start of the month. I'll call him Sam. Early 30s, polite, quiet, always looking over his shoulder, like he was about to get in trouble. I figured he was just shy. Then the phone calls started. Every 30 minutes, like clockwork. I finally asked if everything was okay. That's when he told me it was his mother. She needed to know what he was doing at all times. Where he was sitting, what he was eating, who he was talking to. He said that's the way he was raised and never broke the habit. I could see him physically shrinking after the phone rang every time, like the life drained out of him in real time. The end of the month came and everyone stayed late to wrap up the department reporting. An extra couple of hours. Quiet, heads down working. Sam's phone rings. He steps outside. 2 minutes later, he comes back completely white and says, "Hey, Mr. Coco? My mom wants to speak with you." I thought he was joking. He was not. He looks like he was about to cry. So I took the call in sheer disbelief. She unleashed on me. "How dare you make my son work past office hours? He needs to come home and rest. I don't know what he's been going through. I don't know how dangerous the roads are." I was too stunned to respond properly. I just said, "Ma'am, I think Sam can explain the situation better," and handed the phone back. Then something happened. Sam's voice went steady. He didn't yell. He said, "I need this job, Mom. You can't keep doing this. I'm staying late because that's my responsibility and everyone else is here too. Please just stop." Quiet for a second, then he ended the call. I was proud of him. I know how hard it is to stand up to that kind of control, especially when it's been your whole life. We wrapped up an hour later. I offered to take him out for a cold drink to decompress. He looked like someone who finally sat down a weight that he'd been carrying for 20 years. When I dropped him off at his house, he gave me a small, awkward smile and said, "Thanks. Tonight's gonna be rough." The 30-minute calls still happen, just less frequently now. And when they do, he doesn't shrink the same way. Something shifted in him that night. He seems more confident, more present. I hope he makes it out okay. Some cages don't even have bars. You just carry them in your head. I tend not to read the stories before I read them with you, so I had no idea where that one was going. I thought it was gonna be one of those stories where the guy's a mama's boy and the mom comes to yell at everyone, so he's happy that his mom did it. That's gotta be embarrassing to be in your 30s and have your mommy still telling you what to do. I hope Sam's doing okay wherever he is. Today, we only have 3 stories. As usual, they were fun to read, funny, and it was totally cool to have you stop by the channel to hang out with me. On your screen now, YouTube is showing you some other options for some other videos I have on the channel. They're funny, they're chill, and most of these stories you're not gonna find anywhere else on YouTube. I try not to do the same kind of stories that everybody else does. I hope you got a nice laugh after a long, hard day. I don't know what you did, but I'm sure you accomplished something that's worth being happy about. Click on the screen now. Keep hanging out with me. I totally love every second we spend together. See you at the next one. Thanks again.